Lots of people get lost in Saltburn, and Emerald Fennell's black comedy psychological thriller certainly has had plenty of viewers lost in its labyrinth. I've already discussed my theories, themes, and symbolism in the film in my deep analysis, and now I'm going to discuss the nightmare fuel tucked within the halls. There will be spoilers ahead. Please check out the links to the Horror Exchange below for more content and clothing, and without further ado, let's get into it. For me, the nightmare fuel spine which runs throughout the entirety of Saltburn is its protagonist, Oliver Quick, played in a deliciously corrupt fashion by the incomparable Barry Keoghan. There's just something about him in every movie he does where his stature, his gaze, and his aura are all hypnotically magnetic, and that is certainly not missing in his performance here, especially when things take a dark turn for the worst. Oliver is a tremendously written character, deliciously deceptive, and it's his motives and actions across the narrative which provide a truly chilling experience. A real beauty to the nightmare fuel potency comes from how gradually Oliver evolves over time as his true nature is revealed. The film begins in Oxford in 2006, derived from Fennell's own experiences as an Oxford student. Early on, we are made privy to the ultimate crowning of Oliver as Saltburn's king, with the opening track of the film being Zadok the Priest, commonly used as a coronation song. This is the beginning of Oliver's coronation, but he doesn't come across as a king early on, more of a lowly peasant by comparison. This is due to his presentation. He's shy, reserved, dressed in a geeky fashion sense. He's not cool, he's not outgoing, and were it not for the fact he is the focal point of the film, he doesn't really stick out as notable in the Oxford crowd. But the fact that Oliver is crafted to be so unassuming here only makes his later exposure all the more shocking. Despite being one of the nerds, Oliver manages to get the attention of Felix, another student played by Jacob Elordi. He's popular and attractive to Oliver, catching his eye early on in his Oxford tenure, and thankfully a scenario arises involving a flat bike tyre which brings Oliver and Felix together. A small gesture of kindness from Oliver gets him in Felix's good books, and this is the beginning of their bond. Felix takes care of Oliver's financial embarrassment at the bar. Clearly they're looking out for each other, and a real level of care is there. So much care, in fact, that Oliver hauntingly stares at Felix having sex through a window during the night. Hold on, this kind of care seems rather bizarre, like something is off about Oliver, something in his eyes. Just what thoughts are swirling behind them, tucked away in that mind of his? This is our first real sign that there may be more to him than meets the eye. Well, at one point, apparently, tragedy strikes him. Oliver reveals the death of his father to Felix. Such a poor, unfortunate soul, someone with a good heart but a merciless life around him, which in turn leads to Felix inviting Oliver to stay with him at his family's stately home, Saltburn. The beginnings of the film are humble, yet there are undertones of dark mystery. Oliver comes across as an impressionable young man who likes the look of a certain guy and winds up getting caught in a web with him, yet it seems that there is a strange extent to which Oliver shows his interest in Felix, and that web he gets caught up in may be of his own weaving. We arrive at Saltburn, and Oliver is faced with the stern butler, Duncan. Duncan himself is an enigmatic character, someone who is on Oliver's toes, analysing his decisions, and this terrifies Oliver to his own admission. Even this shot here has the pair of them shrouded as silhouettes, a shadiness to them both despite their meeting being during the day. However, out into the light walks Felix, who guides Oliver through the house to his room. It's a grand castle filled with history, yet the camera almost always focuses on Felix. This was an intentional choice by Fennell to make the grandiose nature of the house feel of a lesser importance. It's as though despite the tour through a palace, Oliver's attention rests primarily on Felix, akin to his emotional attachment. Then we meet the rest of the Saltburn clan with a bizarre array of characters. There's the atypically youthful, up for a laugh patriarch Sir James, the bluntly ignorant and dull-minded Elspeth, the alluringly quirky Venetia, and Farley, who Oliver became acquainted with at Oxford under intellectually clashing circumstances. The stage is set here with a plethora of oddities tucked away in Saltburn, a cast of characters inspired by the works of Evelyn Waugh and Jane Austen, and these are the people who Oliver has a variety of relationships with. However, as we come to discover, there is a corruptive venom within Oliver that winds up destroying these relationships for his own again. Linking this back to Nightmare Fuel, it's at Saltburn that we begin to properly see Oliver demonstrating a demonic persona within himself, often leaking it onto the property during the night, much like the vampire he describes himself as. And the extent of Oliver's unpredictable activities has been enough to label this film as a sickening, twisted experience. I've seen some messed up stuff on the Nightmare Fuel Hall of Fame, but in terms of a cinematic experience, I've personally not been pushed in that kind of mainstream environment before, quite like what Saltburn did. Yep, you know what scenes I'm on about. So let's get on to two of the main ones, shall we? The bath scene. Now this one has become a viral sensation, with people even selling Jacob Elordi's bathwater scented candles, and it's no wonder this has had such a big cultural impact. I saw Saltburn 3 times at the cinema. It's my favourite film of 2023, and every single time this one provided the loudest reaction of disgust. I don't think I've witnessed a scene in a cinema inspire such a reaction. After Felix pleasures himself to climax in the bath, Oliver enters and proceeds to kiss, suck, and slurp the tainted waters. Yep, he's guzzling that sweet bollock yogurt. Lovely. Bloody hell, this was an insanely bold move for a film of this budget and magnitude, but the shocks don't stop there. We later move into Oliver's romantic interest in Venetia, which leads to another famous scene, wherein he proceeds to pleasure her while on her period and consumes her menstruation. Good lord, what's going on here? This guy is absolutely not the person you thought he was entering Oxford. This is a different beast, a creature, a bottom feeder, someone who lusts over the remains of others, even the horrible ones. What we witness in Saltburn is one man's deranged pleasures become a reality without any raw predictability what he's gonna do or be capable of next. He's got many fingers in many pies, sometimes literally, working his magic, utilizing his charm and alien-like nature to bend and break everyone around him. This, of course, leads to truly brutal consequences for the Saltburn estate, as one by one they begin to drop. Firstly, it's Felix, who dies in the early hours of Oliver's birthday party. This too was such an important segment of the film for displaying a beastly side to Oliver, donning antlers, looking like some kind of pagan ritualist, getting shots like this one on the staircase, drenched in red light like a gothic painting of the underworld, his eyes in this shot in his confrontation with Farley, and this silhouette of him entering the maze to track down Felix. All of the above are incredibly clever bits of design and cinematography which illustrate a devilish side to Oliver. He's no longer the naive young man who walked into Oxford. He's a fully formed animal, just like the Minotaur at the centre of the hedge maze, whose body was based on Kyogen's. Check out my deep analysis for more symbolism on the Minotaur and the maze. Back to Felix, his death at the party brings tragedy to Saltburn, but if your eyes were sore via emotion, they were just about to sting even more. In yet another monumental scene, Oliver unbuckles and bangs Felix's grave. Yeah, I still can't believe this is actually a thing and I've just described it. This shot just seems to go on forever, making it bloody uncomfortable viewing, and is yet another thing unlike anything I've seen to chuck on that list. The needle is pushed so far by Fennell here, and it just calculates to a sum of despair. The enigmatic force that Oliver is can take you to places you never thought you'd go. He can knot your stomach, make you sweat, bring about gagging. He's a trickster with chaos in his heart, but he's also fundamentally a serial liar. He lies to Felix about the death of his father. He lies to his parents about his accolades at Oxford. He lies to multiple characters about how he feels about them, and he chops and changes his persona to fit him. Oliver is a master of deception and skulking around reality, bending it to his will to fit his needs and shimmying around the corners. What he needs is Saltburn. Farley is banished from Saltburn after Oliver outs him for doing cocaine during the party. He then influences Venetia to kill herself in the most subtly shocking moment of the film for me, which I'll definitely say is my favourite acted scene of the film, with Alice and Oliver outing Oliver for exactly what he is. is a moth banging against the glass, attracted to shiny things, leaving his holes in everything, before we get that quick cut to her head semi-submerged in a bath full of her blood. This was a breathtaking moment of horror that has really stuck with me. I didn't expect it to get this bleak, even with all the shocking setups. Oliver is paid off by Sir James to leave the estate, but in the future, after his death, Oliver tracks down Elspeth and picks up the romance he intrigued her with, leading him to take her out as well. In a flashback montage, everything traces back to the apparent fates of the characters all being controlled by Oliver. He's been at the wheel the whole time, letting down Felix's tires, poisoning him, providing the razor blades for Venetia, and wearing down Elspeth. Oliver has hoodwinked an entire family in order to gain their glory, their accolades, and Saltburn as a prize, dancing maniacally around its halls while naked, reaching a box of characters that were the family under his control all along. The core reasons I put Saltburn onto the Nightmare Fuel Hall of Fame are as follows. There's multiple scenes which were far beyond the line of the norm and will be talked about for a very long time. This thing's got me questioning what is now acceptable in mainstream cinema. There's so many disgusting, off-putting things here that are stomach-churning. There's also a lot of genuinely shocking scenes, tense character arcs, and delving into dark places. And at the heart of it all is one of the most twisted central characters of the 21st century. A young man who pulls the wool over so many pairs of eyes, slowly creeping out of the shadows and carving a blood path to victory. Oliver Quick is nightmare fuel, and so is Saltburn alongside him. Do you agree with my decision? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and I'll be waiting at the centre of the maze, armed with a bottle full of nightmare fuel.